Welcome to day 18. Today we're going to be talking about Genesis chapters 48 to 50. Quick recap: there's a famine in Egypt, but everyone seems to be surviving well because Joseph was able to interpret the dream of the Pharaoh. 7 years of prosperity, 7 years of famine. They were able to save up for the famine. The family of Jacob or Israel goes to Egypt, finds that when they found out that Jacob was still alive and actually is the ruler of Egypt at that time next to Pharaoh, and everybody moved and everybody's happy, and Jacob is very old. He's going to die. He lived a happy life though. And here in chapter 48, before he dies from good old age, he blesses Joseph's son, Joseph being the 11th son. He says to the sons of Joseph, Ephraim and Manasseh. Manasseh is the older, Ephraim the younger. So it's like this: he had his right hand on if hang on Israel, or Jacob's hand. The left hand of Israel was toward Manasseh. I'm doing a bad job here. What happened was, it's expected by Joseph to bless the older one, Manasseh, over Ephraim, but it was the other way around. Jacob intentionally crossed his hand. The kids were in front of him, but instead of blessing this way, he crossed his hand. He blessed Ephraim, the younger one, over Manasseh, which seems to be an ongoing theme since the beginning of Genesis, where the younger one seems to be more blessed. I don't know what's up with that, but I'll look into it. So Joseph said, Dad, I think you got it wrong. Manasseh is the older, Ephraim is the younger. But Joseph said, or Jacob said, I know. And he reinforced that the younger will be greater than the older. Here, just a quick pause here. I think the significance of this moving forward is the tribe of Levi. They will not be allowed to go into war. They will be dedicated to the temple, towards God. There will be the priests, which means that will be 12 minus 1, 11. And instead, looks like the tribe of Ephraim and Manasseh will be taken over, as we see later on. It's probably not making sense much right now. Maybe I'm just not doing a good job explaining it, but we'll keep going. Chapter 49, Jacob's last words to his son. Here he will bless them. These are prophetic words that he tells. Reuben will not excel because he went up to his father's bed. I think I remember last time when I read up that seemingly trivial part of the previous chapter of Genesis, that Reuben laid with, is it Bilhah or Zilpah? One of the maidservants, and it was known throughout all Israel. And now he has a payback. He is not blessed because he went up to his father's bed. Simeon and Levi are cursed because of their anger, it says here. Judah, my favorite one, he says that your brother shall praise, your hand shall be on the neck of your enemies. How cool is that? And that's where Jesus comes from. David comes from Judah as well. The scepter shall not depart from Judah, which is a direct reference to Jesus, actually. Zebulun will dwell by heaven of the sea. Issachar will be strong like donkey. Dan shall judge his people. Serpent by the way. Gad, Gad, a troop shall tramp, but he shall triumph. Sounds like a tongue twister there. Asher's bread will be rich. Naphtali is a deer let loose. Joseph will have a fruitful bow. Benjamin is like a ravenous wolf. And towards the end, he reminds his family to bury him with his fathers in the field of Machpelah. So that's in Canaan. This blessing part, they were in Egypt, and he's saying, hey, bring me back to Canaan and bury me there. Chapter 50, they wept, they embalmed Jacob, and they had a proper ceremony, 40 days to mourn him, and I think 70 days, 70, days for the Egyptians, and they finally buried him, went to Canaan, went back to Egypt, and his brothers were scared. Joseph's brothers were scared of him, saying that now that our father is dead, maybe he'll be angry with us. And so they they reinforced their loyalty towards Joseph. They said that, behold, we are your servants. Again, here, Joseph shows kindness. He said already in the past, don't be angry with yourself. God planned this so that we can survive. And here in chapter 50, verse 20, he says that you meant evil against me, but God meant it for good. Such a different way of seeing things. And that's what I love as well about believing or fearing God. He gives you a different perspective, which is a perspective that comes from Him. So fearing God is not all about just going to church on the surface. I mean, that's part of it, but you get to see who you are, and you get to see how God sees everything, and that brings you so much joy, peace, happiness. Joseph lived 110 years old, and then he dies. He says that, carry my bones, and of course, you might guess it, bury me where my father is, or his family is. So he dies there, but they're not going back to Canaan right away. They're staying in Egypt. He was just saying that when the time comes that we're going back to Canaan. So he's looking forward. He knows that they're not going to be in Egypt forever. My takeaway again here is, I think, the verse 20, Joseph saying that you meant evil against me, but God meant it for good. In Romans 8, verse 28, for we know that in all things God works for the good to those who love him, to those who are called according to his purpose. One can only really say that hey, you meant bad, but God used it for good. This shows how sovereign God is. When an unbeliever thinks that, hey, if God exists, then he should be doing this, that, and that, this. They also feel like God cannot control them because they're not thinking of God. But it's just funny how powerful God is, that he even, he is in control of everything, and he lets something happen. The demon, the legion in Mark chapter 5, I think, he's called Legion because there's many demons in him. When they saw Jesus, they freaked out. They were saying, what are you doing here? We know who you are. You're the Son of God. Have you come to torture us before the appointed time? And they were saying that, please let us escape from here, go to those pigs, 2,000 pigs. And they said, please allow us to go there, which shows you how powerless they are. And God, it can only happen if God would allow them to do that. So it's a very comforting thought that nothing escapes the infinite, the unfathomable wisdom of God. He will let it happen. It may look bad on the surface, but because we are short sighted, but in the end, maybe we can see a replay of, in heaven, maybe we can see a replay of how things were connected, and we'll be like, oh, that's so cool. Kind of like watching a chess game, how these crazy grandmasters who calculate things. Anyways, I lost so much earlier. I feel bad. I digress. What I mean is, everything works together for the good to those who love God, to those who are called according to his purpose. And that's my takeaway for today. Thank you so much for your time. I truly appreciate you. My hope, my prayer is that you would seek God through the Bible, and please take very good care of yourself. Bye bye.